Welcome to the Weigh In Podcast, your prescription for a healthier life, where wellness is more than just a number on a scale. We'll dive deep into not just weight loss, but the medical, emotional, and lifestyle aspects of well-being.
In each episode, we'll weigh in on hot topics ranging from diet myths and exercise trends to mental health and chronic disease management, providing you with the evidence-based advice to guide your health decisions. Remember, it's not just about the weight on the scale, but about creating a healthier, more balanced you.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good. In fact, I'm lying. I'm phenomenal, and you already know the reason why.
Why is it, Katie?
We're gonna delve deeper into this in a different episode, but that NAD is hidden. I'm obsessed.
Tell me more to the listeners who don't know what NAD is.
Consider this a sneak peek, but just know that I took my first NAD injection last week because of all the hype. And also because my mom called me and was like, tell me about this Benjamin Button injection. And I was like, are you asking me about NAD? So anyway, I took my first injection, mainly because I also was like, I hear people can feel a little bit funny after they take the first one. I'm like, mom's wants it. I got to make sure it's safe for mom. So, oh my gosh, as you know, one of our other colleagues recently did it too. I feel like Superwoman. Brain fog is gone. I'm ready to take on the day. It's amazing. More to come, guys. We're going to talk about it in an episode that'll come up very, very soon. But just know that Katie feels amazing today.
Love to hear it. I love that. I need some of that probably.
Poor Zarina has had to hear about this.
You guys are living in a different world.
Nonstop. We're in like a group chat, me and then our colleague Emily, who owns a clinic in Colorado, and Emily and I we're both going to be offering it at our clinics, and we both have been just like raving about it, and we're like, Zarina.
Well, I just got it, ordered it last week, so I'm just waiting for it to come in. But I'm gonna start offering it to my clients too. So yeah, I have some clients that they're doing the B12s and they're like, it lasts for a day or so. So I'm kind of curious how this NAD plus is better. So yeah, stay tuned.
It's going to be amazing.
All right. So what's your news piece this week?
Ooh, okay. So this one is, I don't know. Do you follow Ciara on Instagram?
I don't follow her on Instagram. I do love her music though, but
I do too.
Tell me more.
Let me see you 1-2 step. But no, she is amazing. I follow her on Instagram. She recently did a very vulnerable post where she basically was saying that like how exhausting it is being a mom, being a business owner. She relatively recently had a baby and how she's getting back on the weight loss train, wants to lose 70 pounds.
Oh.
The comments, 70.
Because the last I've seen her, like she was still skinny, but this was years ago. I haven't kept up with her, so oh gosh. Go ahead.
And usually people, I don't know. I feel like celebrities, when they're like, they usually don't talk about weight till after they've already lost it. Do you know what I mean? Then
right.
They'll be like, oh, like I lost 70 pounds with diet and weight loss, with diet and exercise. Mm-hmm. All on my own, usually what they do. So that post that she made was very vulnerable. The comments, as you can imagine, were lit. As soon as she said 70 pounds, I was like, let me see what's happening here. Lots of people have lots of thoughts, and I'm interested to see what your thoughts are, Zarina. They might even be different than what my thoughts are. But she basically is saying she wants to lose 70 pounds, and a lot of people are like, 70 pounds where? That's what a lot of people are saying.
Oh, so does she still look like, I don't know. Does she look like she needs to? I don't know.
So when I look at her Instagram, which for anybody that's a hardcore Zarina fan, you can be a Zarina fan too. Anyone that's a hardcore Ciara fan, just so you know, I haven't done a deep dive to see every single post that she's ever done. But when I look at her recent posts, she's wearing a lot of loose clothing, so it's hard to say. Like the pic, like that post, she was wearing like a hoodie or like a big sweatshirt. And in other posts, she's kind of wearing like looser clothing. So hard to say. She definitely looks amazing. And I definitely don't see a lot of like facial weight gain.
I think, I remember her wearing a lot of more skin revealing pieces back like a few years ago, especially when she had more music out. So maybe that was a factor. I know she's had kids, and I don't know if she's been, releasing music right now.
She's
But I think
preparing for an upcoming tour, I should have added.
okay. But yeah, usually if they're wearing loose clothing, that it's kind of to hide things, like I've had a coworker, I honestly can't tell. She's like, oh, I've gained weight. I just came back from this cruise. I'm like, I can't tell. And she told me, well, I'm wearing a really big scrub top right now. That's all, you can't see it, but it's all here in the tummy. And I was like, okay, everyone's got their journey. If they want to lose a certain amount of weight, that's on them. They want to lose the weight. And I'm glad she's being open about it, because like you said, people do that after the fact, and you're just guessing, like, what did they do,
Right.
So
And for in regards to the people that were responding and are like, 70 pounds where? You don't need to lose this, you're setting a bad example. I think that my response is definitely like, mind your business. I feel like we don't know. I don't know what her current weight is, but let's work under the assumption, like we would if she was like a patient or a client of ours, that her goal weight is a healthy weight. As long as her goal weight is a healthy weight, then it is none of our business what weight she wants to be. Like, it's not our place to judge.
Right. And if she's coming from the right place, excluding, any type of binge eating disorder, anorexia, etc., of course. But yes, if someone wants to come in and say they want to lose 10 pounds and people are asking them, like, what for? Again, it's their prerogative. So yeah, let her be.
Yes, exactly. And this sometimes can happen with when I get like postpartum moms who maybe don't look like they've had a huge change, but they just haven't been able to get that last 10 pounds off. And they're overweight, but you wouldn't necessarily look at them and say, oh, wow, she's huge. And so they'll say that, like, they feel unsupported, and they'll be like, I want to lose 10 pounds. Like, is that okay? That's the weight that I was before. So I just want to be back there. And like, I'm like, you lose, if losing 10 pounds, like I usually crunch the numbers. I'm like, yes, losing 10 pounds is healthy for you. If you want to be 10 pounds lighter, girl, I'm right there with you. Don't worry about what people say. I want you to feel at your best. So good for Ciara for taking control of it. Again, working under the assumption that there's nothing else going on. And I totally agree about the baggy clothing being a huge teller. It's not like she was flashing like a 13 pack and saying like, I need to lose 70 pounds. And also the whole post was relatable. She's like, she's tired from like entrepreneuring and momming and all the things. So good for her for being vulnerable and honest. So yeah, that's my news tea.
Well, switching gears, I read this article today about Bernie Sanders. He was a former presidential candidate. I'm sure Nick will add a picture of him. He's that meme where he's like cold and he's like, in the scarf.
Nick is going to be so excited. Nick's going to be so hyped to have this moment. Nick, if you're editing this right now, this is your moment. Go ahead. Throw the meme up.
Oh my God. So if you guys don't know who it is, you know the meme. So that's Bernie Sanders. He basically is trying to lower the price of how much it costs to pay for Wegovy and Ozempic, which usually costs about $1,500 a month out of pocket. So he wrote a letter to the CEO of Novo Nordisk stating that while these are good medications, the people that do need them, they can't access them because it's too expensive. So what good is it going to do? He also said that it has a potential to bankrupt Medicare, Medicaid, and the entire healthcare system. And then he asks whether will they substantially reduce the price of the medications? Because he's worked with these researchers from Yale. They found that they can manufacture these medications for less than $5 a month. So if they're charging $1,500 a month for people to pay, like, imagine that profit,
Oof. Their CEOs must take nice vacations.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So he also stated that Ozempic costs $155 in Canada, $59 in Germany, and Wegovy costs like $140 in Germany and $92 in the United Kingdom. So it's curious how they're able to get these medications for a lot cheaper, or offer it a lot cheaper to their clients. But then there was also mentioned in the article that, it's really not the price of the drug. It depends on your insurance and how much they can cover. So I know some clients have told me, my doctor actually wrote me the script and I was able to get it, but then my insurance said like, well, we can't cover any of it. So, so they're left with the bill.
They're left with the bill, and then for that client you're talking about, even if she does pay that bill and gets some of the insurance to cover it, she gonna go to the pharmacy and they might not even have it in stock. A whole other separate conversation. Yeah.
Yes, which we talked about in a previous episode.
Talked about in previous episodes.
Yeah. So, Novo Nordisk, they also provide coupons. I know for a while. Oh, this is separate. Eli Lilly is Mounjaro, but like they were offering like $25 for Mounjaro for however long.
They were.
Yeah. I forget if Ozempic had any offerings. I feel like I haven't heard of it in a while, but
that Mounjaro coupon was for my clients that came over thereafter. That Mounjaro coupon was pretty decent. It sounded like it was like a pretty good coupon if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah,
except that it ended.
It ends, yeah. So then, and you're like stuck with the bill for $1,500. You were paying $25 last month. Now you got to pay, this much. So that's a tricky thing with insurance. And just all to say, obviously the healthcare system is very, in shambles. But I'm glad that Bernie Sanders is doing something about it, and hopefully his efforts do go through. Because again, we know that how hard it is for people to get access to these weight loss drugs. That's why we have our clinics as well that's available. But if you can get it covered through insurance, then that's amazing. And now, Wegovy's been also approved for reducing the risk of heart attacks and stroke. So that can make things more difficult. Adding to the tab, possibly, maybe it might make the meds more expensive, or the shortage just even worse as it is. And now that I think millions of people are eligible to get Wegovy. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Wow. Good for Bernie though, for kind of like calling them out on this, and also for drawing attention to how incredibly expensive these drugs are.
Yeah.
And these drugs, they're expensive, but as an aside, this is like a general issue with healthcare in America, with the cost of these drugs always being so far marked up that it's impossible for people to access. Wegovy, the tale of Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro, Zepbound is the tale of so many other drugs. They just don't draw attention because they're not for disease processes that are as widespread as the need for weight loss. It's like obesity.
Right.
Crazy. This week, our supplement question is: which of the following weight loss supplements is good to take with semaglutide for enhancing overall health during a weight loss program?
A, high-dose vitamin C. B, iron supplements. C, basic B complex. Or D, high-dose zinc. Today, we are joined by a mother and daughter duo, Alison and Stacie Altman. Hello. They both have undergone gastric bypass surgery, and are here to talk about their experience. So we have Alison here. She's a Los Angeles-based artist, gamer, doggy owner, and self-described hot housewife. She's also a bariatric patient. In June, she'll be celebrating her 1-year surgiversary. Aside from working out and cooking, she enjoys gaming with her friends, drawing hot guys, and collecting tattoos. And Stacie is a vibrant senior, originally LA-based, who's been living in beautiful Ashland, Oregon for the past 10 years. She's also a bariatric patient. Stacie's surgery was over a little 8 weeks ago. She was inspired by her daughter Alison and her journey to revisit surgical options for herself. She enjoys being a mom. She enjoys all aspects of the arts, playing games and solving puzzles, watching movies and TV, listening to good music, and spending as much time as possible with her children. Stacie's living her best life, and every day is the best day ever. I love that.
Welcome, you guys.
Thank you for having us.
You guys are so cool. These bios were awesome.
You guys are so cute.
Cute is
super cute.
I'm just like looking at like my beaming mother. I'm like, you're so cute.
You guys are like adorable. The twin surgeries, adorable.
Thank you. Thank you. We are thrilled to be here.
We wanted to just hear about your guys' experience growing up with obesity, because I know it's been a lifelong thing for you.
I didn't really start to put on weight until, puberty. I was like a really skinny, small child. Serena, I'm sure you might actually remember when you met me, I was just kind of like a twerpy little kid. And then the second I started to, hit puberty, develop breasts, develop my more adult features, just the baby fat would not go away, if you will. And it just started to pack on and on and on. I went to a very small school from, K through 12. I was in a small class of 23, I think was how many kids were in my grade. And I was consistently the largest kid in the class as years went on, and I got bigger and bigger. And it just had it was kind of a shadow for me. It was something I was always aware of, that you get aware of when you're overweight and when you're in this society. So
did you feel like people commented on it when you were growing up, at that school, a school that small?
You know what? I am so grateful. No, I really did not experience a lot of targeted bullying. I was, friendly and gregarious, and I was pretty close with my classmates. But I wasn't friends with the popular girls, and that has a feeling. There was this very pointed vibe I noticed of okay, all the popular girls are all the really tiny, skinny girls who are all hot and, sought after by boys. And I was very pointedly, I took pride in being oh, I'm one of the boys. I grew up with brothers. So I would wear their hand-me-down baggy clothes, and I very much adopted this anti-girl personality. And, I even said it in my bio, I play games, and to this day, my closest friends are men. So I felt very othered, and not in it, again, not in a targeted bullying way, but just in a way where I was aware that I was not having this same kind of female, young, hot teenage girl experience. I just was that's not my experience.
Okay, what about you, Stacie? How was it like growing up?
So, hey, Boomer. No. Gonna start there. So I had body dysmorphia. Is that how you say it? Hey, help me. So again, I wasn't a heavy child. I was a pretty teenage girl. I was I was cute. I was sassy, all that. But I had that thing that was disordered in me about how I look, because I didn't look like that. Or I didn't have, there was always this comparative type of thing. I had 2 older sisters, 2 younger brothers, and as lovely as I wasn't my beautiful sister Mandy, and I wasn't my intelligent sister Kim. And I can remember from an early age, one of my siblings taught me how to throw up.
Wow.
And again, it didn't seem, we weren't talking about bulimia. We weren't talking about food disorders or anything. We were just hey, you can binge and you can purge. And it was just the coolest thing.
That's my life hack.
You guys were this is great. This solves all the problems.
Why everybody needs to do this?
Yikes.
Why aren't they doing it?
Yeah.
So again, that said, and I believe it's not to say that there wasn't I think all adolescence is dumpy. I went from the kid, we had a swimming pool, and I remember I had green hair from swimming in the pool so much from the chlorine and everything, and wouldn't brush my teeth. So green hair and green teeth.
Ew.
Sorry. Ew. And so puberty was awkward. It was weird. It was ahead of, and then all of a sudden I was I got a shape. I got, and it turned, and my prowess, whatever, what I mean, started to indicate differently. And I remember feeling hormonally activated and alive.
Yeah, you had the opposite experience of me where you were like a knockout.
Again, this is not a blame. This is a timeline of my memory. And, I always can't come up with like is there a deep seated like emotional issue that drove this? What's the driver in your unhealthy dependency on food or whatever that might look like? And it was just my general lifestyle at that time. You know what I mean? There was a time when I'd say in the 80s when I met Alison's, in 1979 when I met Alison's father and stuff, my lifestyle changed drastically. And what that looked like was opulence. And what it looked like was great food, going out, doing this, and many, many other aspects of a very rich and almost paganistic type of lifestyle. It's not that I was invisible to the changes that I was going through. I was slowly gaining weight and doing this kind of thing. It was, but it was like, I remember like putting on like 50 pounds and being, what the hell happened? What kind of like romantic dream am I in that I just like, latched my horse to this cart of a man who was right, and we're and again, not his fault or not, but there was inconsistency, and I started a more normalized relationship with food was altered with me during those times.
Well, and it reminds me of that that kind of old signifier of wealth. Like, I don't know how true this is, but I've heard that like, oh, if your wife is fat, you're wealthy. Like it shows you can provide, you can give her like what she needs. A well-fed wife is a successful man, like, and I think you were like the embodiment of that.
That is true of cultures as well.
Yes.
Even Filipino culture. But
For
I mean,
sure.
going back to what you were saying, Stacie, I feel like when a lot of people start new relationships, they do put on pounds because you're just so excited to be together. You're going on dates, you're hanging out, eating all the food. So yeah, that's totally normal.
Very, very normal.
Do you feel like it got worse after pregnancy or any other time in your life?
This is a timeline for me as well. Like, so with my second son, when I was pregnant with him, I had put on a significant amount of weight. I think I gained like 60 pounds. And afterwards, again, there's something, there's a blind side. There was a turn, there was like this is what this lifestyle looks like. Now I'm nursing, I'm eating for two. Plus I felt, not that my ex-husband, there wasn't any co-signing or anything, but he never bullied me. He never badgered me. If I felt bad about myself, he's like, I just want you to be happy. I just want you to be happy. And I didn't ever get that if it's to be, it's up to me.
Mm.
You know what I mean? That wasn't part of my scenario back then. So I had just gotten bigger, kept the 60 pounds on, and then before you know it, then it's 100 pounds. So over the past, I'd say my timeline with obesity is more in the mid to late 80s until currently. I've fluctuated, I stutter a little bit when I talk about the numbers, but close to 400 pounds. And then I'd lose, and then significantly lose some weight and stuff like that. I could lose like 40 pounds and feel a hit, some kind of success there, but then just plateau there for years.
Stacie, something that you mentioned that I think is so relatable is sort of that post-baby nursing phase where you gain all the weight. And by the way, I'm somebody who struggled with obesity myself. It's always the second kid. It happened with my second kid where I gained 70 pounds. was nursing, was happy, and gained the weight during that time frame. And I feel like it's oftentimes not talked about. You know, people to be like, oh yeah, it's all that pregnancy weight. And I'm like, well, some of it was the pregnancy, but some of it was just, I was really hungry while I was nursing. And so I think that phase where you're transitioning, maybe it's the second kid, maybe, I don't know if it's that we just aren't thinking about it as much, or I don't know if we're just more likely to, because it seems like a lot of people's weight gain stories are like with baby number 2. And it does seem like, I think it's very common actually, that post baby, you start to either gain some weight or just simply not lose that pregnancy weight. So I just wanted to say that I think that your story is very, very, very relatable. And I really appreciate your transparency.
Yeah.
Because I felt so validated just hearing that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wasn't the only one.
I can vouch also, like, I'm pretty active in like the Instagram, like bariatric community. And I would say like most of the accounts that follow me back, all moms, just all women with children. I follow like maybe 3 dads. But
as we talk about, because you were just saying you follow these accounts where people are struggling, I'm sure that prior to getting surgery, both of you probably tried lots and lots of things. So Allie, maybe we'll start with you. Tell me sort of what you tried in the past for weight loss, for exercise, for all of those things.
Sure. So I remember like as early as high school, like, and I would say like grade 10, 9, being like, I need to try Atkins. Like, I need to lose like 15 pounds, you know? So I'm going to try the Atkins diet. I'm going to try, I think like at the time, like my mom was doing Weight Watchers or something. And I was like, okay, I'll like join in, or I'll kind of do whatever program she's doing. Cause, you know, I could afford to lose some too. As early as being a 15-year-old was when I started like trying diets and having this kind of yo-yo relationship where like, okay, like I'd be really strict and stringent, and, you know, with my own complete lack of knowledge of nutrition, I would just be like, okay, it's just like garden salads at restaurants for me for the next like week. And then I'd like lose maybe like, I don't know, a couple pounds and get that like boost of serotonin. But then after extreme dieting for 1 or 2 weeks, you fall off and you're just like, well, that hamburger sounds great right now. Like that. And then there's no concept of, you know, moderation, or, you know, I had that all or nothing mindset. Like the second I kind of broke the seal and like had the cheeseburger or something, it was over. It was like, okay, back to I'm not dieting now. I tried like deleting all sugar from my life, or deleting all bread from my life. Like just these really extreme, I tried fasting. I tried like juicing. I tried some really like whatever fad things were going on. Cause again, I think it's really important to note, I had no knowledge about nutrition or like how food can help aid in weight loss, other than demonizing food, other than villainizing food, other than being like, you know, having a relationship with food that was around guilt. I started to really panic and get scared. And I like transitioned from a state of like self-disappointment and like disgust to like fear, and being like, I need to do something before this is too late and before this gets worse, because that was what it looked like. It looked like it was getting worse. And it wasn't going to get better. Like the trajectory I was on, it was like downhill. There was no, you know, we'll get through this. You know, I did not have that trust. I sought out some personal trainers in 2017, I want to say, and started learning about nutrition. And, you know, I think there was still this like dieting kind of vibe I had in working with them. I felt like the language around what they were imparting to me was still very, you know, eating bad versus eating good. But it was also really valuable in educating me on nutrition. Around 2017 was when I started becoming a big like gym rat. That's when I started being like, okay, well, if diet's not working, I'm just going to go outrun my calories. You know, I'm just going to go start lifting heavy and work out and, oh, I'm going to earn that cheeseburger now. I'm going to go like try to outrun it, basically. And I stuck with that for, I want to say 5 years. And I actually started to see some success. I like dropped 60 pounds just through like diet,
Wow.
education with these two trainers at Fitness and Fuel LA. A little shout out. I still go there. So yeah, lost 60 pounds. And then as the story goes for a lot of us, the pandemic hit. We gained whatever weight we lost back because we were all trapped and going insane, and the world, everything was happening. And as I'm sure everyone here knows, like stress is a huge weight increasing factor. And yeah, whatever progress I saw, I felt like I worked for years to like get some of that off, and it just came back in a blink. Those were kind of my main attempts before going, okay, let's look at bariatric surgery.
And Stacie, did you try anything in the past with weight loss?
Where do I start? So I love me a new book and a fad diet, boy.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a shout out to my father, who became obese. He was up to like 304 pounds, and not many people know this and stuff, but this is what it happened with him as well. And he went on like a strict kind of like diet, Atkins kind of plan. I remember being influenced like that, because he's having like 8 pieces of bacon, 5 eggs. Like again, he went big with all that and lost a tremendous amount of weight. So I was influenced by that. Then there was another book called The Beverly Hills Diet, and I remember that having an appeal because you could have popcorn on it. My relationship with food is distorted. These programs could be very, very successful because in Weight Watchers, and I wanted to bring this up too, like they came out with like these 2-point, whatever they were, chewy candy bars. And that was all I ate all day. I'm going to 2-point candy bar myself to thin.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, okay.
Breakfast candy? Okay.
And everything was in a little bag and all their products and everything. But yeah, so I that was not successful for me. I want to mention Jenny Craig. I went to Jenny Craig, which was some money.
Yeah.
Some money.
Yeah, right. Isn't that like a subscription one, or like
you go and again they do the whole assessment thing and your weight and your and they put you in a community and you have it, and then they mail you here's your frozen pancakes, here's your this, here's your that, all this pre-prepared food, and you're supposed to stick to it.
It's interesting that that's what they have, because I feel like most of their clientele are women who have families that they're also feeding.
Yeah, right.
So it almost is like a setup for disaster. Like, I'm going to eat this like bland food and I'm going to feed my family like this delicious.
This might have looked a little, I think they've evolved. There was the cabbage soup diet.
Oh,
that was probably a monthly in our home, and that poor girl learned to love the smell of cabbage soup.
I've been hypnotized by the farty fragrance of cabbage.
Do you have PTSD from cabbage? Like, do you not eat it anymore?
Oh, I'm obsessed with it.
Okay.
I love it. No, one of my
Please get a cabbage tattoo.
Yeah. Oh.
That's hilarious.
Okay. All right. Well, let's slow down there.
But it's like you can lose 10 pounds in a week.
Yeah.
All this water weight and everything. So it was not a sustainable relationship with food that was going to initiate change in health. But, I wasn't interested in that. I was interested in,
you wanted the quick fix.
Numbers. Yeah. We want the quick fix, she said.
The numbers or whatever the event was that I was going to feel, because again, I don't know what brain thing is that when you just drop a little and you feel better, it just like would up my esteem, and that would be all I would need. And then there would be kind of like glad that's over. Like no stick to it
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? Or diet so that I could have cake at the wedding.
At the wedding. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I told you, Katie, we lose weight here for an event, and then we're like, when the event comes, we're like, okay, we can eat whatever we want. So
Right.
we were just talking last week to this guest because they're like, is that an LA thing, like losing weight for an event?
Oh my God. Yeah. Both of us LA girlies are like, yeah, like we totally, like that's so normal.
So, but all my listeners that live in this small town are like, oh, they're like, oh, I figured she must live somewhere fancy because she mentioned having to diet for an event.
Oh my God.
She's like, they must go to like all these fancy LA parties. And I'm like, I guess they must.
It's that Hollywood culture. Like you can't escape it. Even if you're not in the industry here, like you know somebody's brother's wife's ex-husband's daughter who's in the industry, and you know, you're really just, the culture is
interesting,
pertinent. Yeah.
Yeah, even if it's not the industry, you know, you got people getting married, or it's like, oh, it's my 30th birthday party. Like it's just so prevalent in LA. They want to lose that extra 10 pounds to fit into this dress, into this outfit.
Yeah.
So
get their beach body.
Stacie, I do wonder, as you mentioned, sort of like trying all these diet books and all these fad diets, I just wonder if there was like a suburban mom culture of trying all these diets. I remember my mom going to Weight Watcher meetings. I remember her, and maybe it was the same candy bar. There was some type of Weight Watchers chocolate. You know what I mean? And when we ran out of treats in the house in a pinch, and I would go and sneak and like steal one because I'd be like, I just need a little bit of chocolate while she's not looking.
Just a little hit.
Just a little something. And so I just remember my mom, I know all these diets that you're talking about, except for the cabbage soup one. I'm not familiar with it. But all the other ones, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when she did that. I remember seeing that on the bookshelf. So it's just interesting. I wonder if like some of this was just sort of like what the culture was like, there's this new book, there's this new fad. I can remember when like the whole Atkins thing was a thing. And when everybody was doing keto, I think everybody was probably doing it wrong because it was a very difficult thing to get correct. And it was also popular during that time. So some of this, whether you were an obese mom or an average size mom, I think a lot of this was just like sort of like suburban mom culture, because I'm assuming, I think me, Stacie, and Zarina are all somewhere in our 30s ish, give or take, and I think that we were all growing up around the same time and kind of experiencing the same things as kids of moms in the suburbs that were dieting.
Definitely. Yeah. I had an awareness of dieting, like definitely through my mom. Not that she was the mom who was like, you could really lose some weight. Like, you know, she was never doing that kind of thing to me, but you know, like mother, like daughter, I always saw her dieting and saw her like trying to kind of outrun this dog at her heels. And I was like, okay, yeah, me too. Like, I got to try too. I failed to mention, I was like, I drew a blank when you asked like what diets I've tried. I failed to mention, I also tried, I think we both went to like Overeaters Anonymous meetings. We tried like 12-step programs. And I also tried Noom. That's a really like recent and new one that I totally subscribed and was doing it for months and was really. I was trying to think when you sign up for bariatric surgery, when you start like filling out paperwork, there's they ask you what diet avenues you've tried, and I remembered like filling out. I'm like, God, I've tried everything. I've tried so much, and now I'm here.
Was there a diet where you were like, this could work if I was like, you know, like in a different world, or if I wasn't struggling with this one thing, this diet kind of works for my lifestyle. Maybe this, you know what I mean? Like this could be a good diet in maybe a different situation. Was there any diet where you were extra successful or felt like,
I think I just have such a fundamental problem with the word diet now that I'm like, the answer is no. I'm like, no, there is no diet that I would embrace. Like for me, I think the most powerful reframing tool has been the psychological reframing of like diet versus lifestyle.
Absolutely. Very well said.
Thanks. I'm not trying to like get on a soapbox about, I totally understand your question, and, you know, I get that we're relating. It's, I think for me, what has the diet, quote unquote, that I have said, oh, I could stick to this, is the one I'm on now, which is this kind of lifestyle shift in, okay, I'm going to prioritize protein. I'm going to prioritize, you know, vegetables and leafy greens. I'm going to make them delicious. I'm going to cook the heck out of them and make them so tasty. And I'm going to enjoy my meals and, not say no, but I'm going to look at every meal that I have and go, what can I add? What can I add to this to add nutrients, to add vitamins, to add energy? Like,
you literally just described the healthy eating lifestyle changes that Sarita and I both preach in our clinic. That's exactly from like the high protein to the thing that's the mindset change. That's literally like what we want for all of our patients. So congratulations for really sort of like embracing and achieving that, because that's literally like, I could see Zarina getting all excited because that's literally what we want, and that's actually exactly what we teach.
Oh, I'll take my Good Girl Award in the mail, or if you have like a plaque or like a little Oscar, I don't know. Like, thank you so much.
A little Oscar.
So Alison, I love how open you've been. Even prior to getting your surgery, you were openly talking about this. Like, you have your own Instagram, Olive Alley is what it is. And you were already talking about getting the surgery and the process. So I just wanted to ask you, like, what inspired you to start that Instagram to share your experience?
I found that I was, again, terrified. I was like really entering this with a lot of fear and anxiety. And something that was soothing me was listening to a podcast by these other two women who also had bariatric surgery, hearing about their anecdotal experiences. Like, I had so much fear and anxiety around like simply not knowing what the surgery entailed, what life after surgery looked like. I was really finding it soothing to like find other people who were being open and sharing and talking about like, those first few weeks after surgery. What are you eating? What does it feel like? Are you hungry? Are you not? Like, you have, as a bariatric patient, you have these kind of cycling questions that come up and are just floating in your head all the time. Because I found it so soothing to find people who were sharing their experience, I was like, you know what? I kind of wanted to share the experiences that I had that I wanted to know about. I was trying to think of like, what questions am I asking that I want to ask people that I can't, or like that I don't know anybody that I can ask this. I wanted to answer those questions for other people. Wanted to be honest about the lows and the highs of it, how difficult this is. Like, this is more of a critique of Instagram, but I just feel like it's so easy to kind of see a very tailored, picture perfect example of whatever niche you're looking up, whatever kind of product you're being sold at that moment. It's easy to see a very manufactured like representation of it. It's the goal to be as authentic as possible. I think it's difficult to really maintain that all the time, especially in front of a camera, but that is my sentiment. I just wanted to be honest and vulnerable.
Very, very brave. Very brave. It's very hard to, seriously, there's so many people that do so much pretending on social media. It's always refreshing to see somebody show their real experience, because that's what's relatable. That's what we all want to follow, is the person who's very authentic. And you in general seem very comfortably yourself, which is awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I try really hard. I think both my mom and I share this quality. We both have a terrible poker face, and we both we're honest to a fault. Like, my mom has upset people. I've upset people.
Zarina and I talked to another guest in another episode. And during that episode, we talked about how so many people kind of have like an aha moment that sort of changes the tide to where they either decide to start what ends up being their last weight loss journey, and whether that looks like bariatric surgery, whether it looks like a diet. I think that so many of us experience it. And so I just wanted to know if either of you had that, which was like, okay, it's time to lose the weight. I'm going to do the surgery.
And so concludes part 1 of this week's episode. What were the ladies' aha moments? Did insurance help them? What advice can Alison and Stacie share for people considering weight loss surgery? All these questions and more are answered in episode 7. Part 2.
This week's answer is C, the basic B complex. The basic B complex, which the title of basic B complex is, we're referencing the Thorne product because it's a particularly great vitamin B supplement. But there's lots of benefits to B vitamins in general. The basic B complex enhances metabolism. B vitamins are essential for converting food into energy, which can help in your weight loss efforts. It provides nutritional support. It also helps with mood regulation. And also, B vitamins in general can help with immunity, which I feel like is a benefit that we sometimes forget. So oftentimes, as a patient, you may notice that your provider might give you a compounded version of semaglutide that's actually been compounded with a B vitamin. And I know that at each of our clinics, we oftentimes will encourage our patients to do a supplement such as Thorne's Basic B supplement, just because it's going to really help enhance your weight loss.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast, give us a rating, and share with your family and friends who might find it helpful.
And remember, we love hearing from our listeners. Connect with us on our social media channels or shoot us an email with your thoughts, questions, or suggestions for future topics. Don't forget to check out our website, www.thewayinandpeas.com, and to follow us on Instagram at thewayinandpeas.
If you need one-on-one help with your weight loss or wellness journey, book a private consultation with us. The A-List Clinic can be reached at www.thealistclinic.com or on Instagram and TikTok at The A-List Clinic.
And my clinic, Lifefire Weight and Wellness, can be reached at www.lifefireweight.com or on Instagram and TikTok at LifefireWeight.
Thanks again for tuning into the Wayne Podcast with your hosts, Katie and Zarina. Until next time, take care and be well.
The information in this podcast is for general information only. It is not intended as medical advice and should not be relied upon as a substitute for medical consultation with a qualified medical provider familiar with your medical needs.